let me play devil's advocate against the devil's advocate against myself. In order for new people to be excited, the old guard has to let go some of that stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the best Flesh and Blood podcast that you're currently watching on the internet.
The best one that you're watching right now. We can assure you
the best one that you're watching right this second that's playing in your ears. This is the reaction phase. My name is Josh.
My name is Louie.
And we are from Hometown TCG and Kitchen Table TCG, respectively. And we're here to talk Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, and if you're watching this right now, you're watching on Josh's channel. Last week's episode is on my channel. Next week's episode will be on my channel. We're bouncing it back and forth. This is collaboration at its finest. So I'm stoked, dude. I'm excited to chat with you again. I had a lot of fun last week, and I did
too.
It's fun just talking about FaB and our thoughts on it. So I respect your opinions immensely, and that's why I was excited about this podcast. So
well, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me, but I am still riding high from doing my first podcast intro ever. So
you did a fantastic job.
I'm like here, dude. Briar bands, right?
Wait, can you tell them where to find the podcast? The other places they can. We're also on Spotify and iTunes. If you didn't know that,
we are on Spotify, iTunes. You can find the podcast there. You can't find it on Apple Podcast, apparently. So.
That's iTunes. Sorry, I'm old. I don't listen to podcasts. So it's Apple Podcasts, not on iTunes.
All right, so we know which one of us is the professional content creator. We know which one of us is not. Got it. Yes, you can find the podcast on all those places. You can also find it at Hometown TCG and Kitchen Table TCG, both on YouTube.
Boom. That was great.
Briar bands. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, tell them what we're talking about today.
We're starting with the Briar bands. We are going to kind of bleed into some Everfest overview talk. I think they tipped their hand with the band, so I'm pretty stoked about that. And
you have not told me what your thoughts are on that. This was your segment, and you're going to leave me blind. I love it.
I can't just tell you everything before the podcast starts. And you made a sick suggestion. You're going to let me talk about the market, which most of my viewers, when I talk about the market, they're like, oh, Josh, stop talking about the market. So I'm stoked about that.
We can talk about that, too, because that's a mistake.
Letting me talk about the market is a mistake.
No, the viewer is saying that it's not important because it's so important, man. It's important for everybody.
It's a spectrum. I'm gonna say that a million times. And then we got a cool segment to close it up, but I don't want to spoil that one. I think I'm gonna keep that one pretty close to the vest.
All right, I like it.
All right, so start us off, man. I know that you don't have any other content that you've put out in like the last week, so give us your thoughts on the Briar bands. What's going on? They're not Briar bands.
Yeah, that's what everyone's calling it. The band announcement. I mean, I thought, I've shared my opinions on it. I do not, my opinion on it from the get-go. I don't like bands. I don't like that thing. I'm learning and I'm understanding now that this is going to be a normal thing for Flesh and Blood. If you were to, a year ago, I would have told you that I left Magic the Gathering. I stopped playing Magic the Gathering because of bans and because of the constant amount of bans and the lack of playtesting. And that is why I was so excited about a game that said that they were going to be doing things a little bit differently. And I believed that the game designers were more going to prevent that. And that is, I just think it's different than my expectations. And so my expectations have had to shift, and I feel like they have shifted now. I still don't like the bans. It's still opposite of what I like in the idea of TCGs, but like, this is where we are. We are going to see more of them. And I do agree that these bans were healthy for the meta. I agree that as a whole, the ban and restrict announcement has opened up this meta now to a more healthy place than it was previously. My point has always been, I just wish that we didn't have to get there. I wish that we didn't have erratas. I wish we didn't have bans. And the frequency of bans right now is, in my opinion, too high for a new card game.
Right. No bans is always better than bans. And I've said this, and this is weird. It goes for, I think, people on both sides. You mentioned like, I just don't like bans. I think bans are just always kind of a feel bad. Even if you're one of the people who are like, I want Briar banned. I am for every one of these bans. You still have to live your life feeling that way up until this ban. So whether it's when the ban comes out, whether it's you were upset and felt bad pre-ban or you're upset and feel bad post-ban, bans are just always kind of a feels bad in some way in any game. And that's not an LSS or FaB specific thing. I think this is, I mean, it clearly needed to happen. I think it's cool. It shows that they're ear to the ground, listen to the community. It'll be interesting. You got a lot of people out there that are like, oh, Briar wasn't even that good. Why are we banning it? And you're like, well, if it wasn't that good, then I don't believe LSS is just banning things because the community is outcrying. Like, that doesn't make sense. I don't think they're doing that.
What do you think? 4 months ago or 3 months ago, we had the maybe it wasn't even that long. 2 months ago, we had the announcement that was like, "Hey, we're not banning anything. We think it's okay. Here are some decks that are beating Briar." What do you think the change was? Like, what do you think happened between then and now? That's like said, "Hey, no, Briar is busted." To a degree that they are changing it even in the draft formats.
Yeah.
I mean,
so,
like, what happened?
I think a lot of it, and this is my opinion. This is I do a thing on the channel where I call it a tinfoil hat theory, and I slap on my tinfoil hat. If I had to guess, it's the constant like amount of, we don't think this is fun as players. We're not enjoying this. It's the community saying we don't like this, and it's them saying, look, here's our evidence. 63% of this event was Briar. 65 was this, 59% was Briar. And they're saying we don't like playing against it, and it's the overwhelming deck that we always have to play against.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if that's healthy. So I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that seems to be the thing that sticks out in my mind. But I don't know if that's healthy. I don't know if I want LSS banning things because the community is like, we don't like this.
Well, yeah. Dustblade, they blatantly said that, right? Like they said
Dustblade was really good.
Yeah, but I mean, like my point is, in the band announcement, they said that they heard from, like, they didn't say that for the Briar stuff. They didn't say that for the Plunder Run and for Ball Lightning, but for Dustblade, they specifically said based on feedback from stores,
LGSs, right? Yeah,
from LGSs, which is an interesting way to do. I actually personally, I know, I want to argue against that. I think those are exact people that they need to be listening to. I mean, like,
but there's a line in the sand, right? You can do that with Dustblade because the community is like, hey, we don't like playing against Dustblade, and Dustblade is ridiculously good. But let's say I know some people that when you're playing Blitz and you pull out Kano, they're just like, I hate you and I hate my life and I hate everything.
Yeah,
because it's a different interaction. So if a large enough portion of the community is like, we hate playing against Kano, we hate it, ban Kano, Kano's ridiculous, ban Kano. It's a slippery slope because I don't want them to then go ban Kano just because the community is like, we don't have fun playing against it. Like, I don't know if that's the route. A Dustblade's an easy one though because the community doesn't like it, and it's OP. It's insane. That card is so good. Like, so it makes sense. It's going to be weird if they're doing it based on community feedback when that line is drawn, right? When it's the community doesn't like playing against it, but it's not overpowered. It's still losing. It's not an overwhelming portion of the meta or something like that. So I don't know. I think that's what changed, but that's a slippery slope, man. That scares me.
It's an interesting thing. Like, there's definitely a balance. I don't think that we are over that balance yet. There's definitely a balance. All right, let's talk about the errata, because I think that is, in my opinion,
just good.
I think it's again, I don't like that it happened, but I think it is good for the meta.
Yeah.
I actually thought that we would get an errata for Briar that would look similar to it. Okay. I didn't anticipate it was going to be errata plus.
Lustradamus.
What?
Lustradamus. You got all the predictions going on. You knew it. You saw it coming.
No, I didn't think it was going to be an errata and then all these bans too. I thought it was going to be slower. It seems like they did a lot. Like, do
you think did they do too much?
Oh, I'm not the right person to decide that.
What's your opinion?
My opinion is that it would have been nice to see what it looked like without the bans.
Sure.
It would, but I assume, and this is where I don't know what to do anymore. I assume that they play tested it a lot with just the errata, and then it was like, no, that's not enough.
Sure.
So I think that what I like about it is it seems like it has completely reset everything. It
sure has, yeah.
By taking Ball Lightning, by taking Plunder Run and Briar, now you don't even know what to expect, and now it's like a blank slate. I personally think that I would have liked that 2 weeks ago. Give it some more time for ProQuest and all those things. I guess what we have a month. What do you guys have, like a month of play testing?
It's like a month, yeah.
I guess that's enough. I mean, I don't understand why it didn't happen 2 weeks ago to give more time, but like, I do like the idea that it's a blank slate now, and now it's like figuring out what the meta is going to be in playtesting. I know Team Kitchen Fable has been doing, a lot of questioning of like, okay, what are we all moving
Right.
towards? How do we start playtesting in this new world where the meta is shifted and changed, and what can we
Right.
anticipate? I prefer a place where you kind of know what to expect, and then you're playtesting for that. But I also see the benefit of it just being a blank slate. Like
I think it's cool, man. And so what you're saying is for the top 10%, I'm lucky enough in the hometown TCG community to get the opinions and, kind of insight of a lot of really awesome players in a team. And I don't know if I want to name them publicly yet. I don't know if they're ready for that, but they're a team that's, they're very competitive. They're playtesting very hard, and they're players with extremely well-written resumes. Like these guys are crushing. These guys are finishing. And I lean very heavily on hardcore playtesting with them because, making content, it's hard to like make content, work a job, and playtest, as much as these guys do.
Right.
So this band really throws those 10% of players, right? The cream of the crop into this. What's the next deck? What are we playing for our ProQuest? What are we top 8ing with? What are we taking home the whole thing with? I think what it does for the rest of the community, the players that I would call myself, I always call those like S tier players, and I'm like the A- tier player. Where I'm good. I'm definitely good at the game, but I don't devote the time that guys like Team Kitchen Fable and these guys do, right? I have content to make and stuff like that. So unfortunately, I don't put in that as much time as them. But for players like me, it was like I built 3 decks after the ban announcement, and one of them was Briar. Because I was like, I just want to, the whole world feels like it's my oyster. But I also have to point out that for people that are like, oh, this ban fixes everything, we've got to remember at the competitive level, at those really serious events, you're still going to see a best deck or a best 1-2 punch, like the 2 best decks. That's how TCGs work. We're never going to achieve this perfect nirvana of balance, right? You're still going to see that. So if they only ban, if Oldhim is, I speculate he's a really good deck right now, and if everyone's like, we're playing Oldhim all the time, and the next event is 64% Oldhim decks, is that just the community doesn't want to build, or everyone just wants to play the best deck? So it's the slippery. Again, we're back to the slippery slope argument. That's my catchphrase. It's everything's a slippery slope, and we're at the top of it.
That's the name of the podcast. Everything's a slippery slope.
I want to get this out of the way. I'm actually for the in LSS I trust, right?
Yeah.
So if they made this ban, I don't pretend to know more than they do. I think if they're doing it, it's healthy for the game, and I'm for it. I'm going to get behind it.
Yeah. Well, I think this was a healthy. The Briar errata. I think it's so hard whenever we get these band announcements. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, and we should break them up. We should break them. Okay, Briar errata.
I agree with you with the Briar errata. That was a healthy thing that needed to happen. Okay. I tend to lean towards like, hey, let's keep sealed, and keep that and keep draft that. I know that gets really confusing though. I just feel like it's gonna be interesting. I'm also extremely biased as a content creator. I think that's another thing to take in mind. Like, think about all the Briar sealed. Not that I really made. I think I made one, but the Briar sealed strategy videos that are out there that are now like irrelevant. Like, I think that sucks for like it sucks for those people who go back and watch those. Are like, hey, I'm gonna go play Everfest draft, and I'm gonna go watch a video on some strategy, but all the Briar stuff is now not as relevant because it's different.
But doesn't that give us a window as content creators to make new Briar strategy videos?
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know if I to react to that. I don't know if I side with you on that. I like the option. Okay, it's changed. Let me get my community the more recent information.
Well, and there's another side of that too, where it's like if you are playing Everfest draft and learning in that way, you want to learn Briar the way that it's going to be played in CC too. So there's 100%. There's a lot of caveats to that.
Yeah, the new player route. I played this hero in CC or in draft, and it's sealed, and I loved it. Oh, it's way different.
So I agree that there's a pro and con. I think of all this stuff, there's pros and cons.
Sure.
I think that ultimately though, this errata was good. I like that they errated a very, very easy to replace card.
We talked about that last week. We were like, we could just ship these cards out. That's an option for like the next armory kit. They could just ship every LGS 40 Briars, and that way, hey guys, replace your Briars.
Yep.
Feel bad for cold foil Briar holders though.
I mean, they could do that. Nothing's stopping them from having a replacement plan other than money, but they could have a
Maybe.
replacement plan.
Yeah.
I don't think we see that.
I don't think it's not a big enough deal. Yeah,
No.
I think it'll be fine. But okay, so I did shill a little bit for LSS, and you said it's hard when we talk about the bands together. Breaking them up, I got to tell you, the Plunder Run and Ball Lightning, I'm leaning into my faith in LSS here because I didn't see that one. Plunder Run's a very good card. I'm not sitting here being like, oh, Plunder Run sucks. No, it's a very good card, but there's a lot of very good cards, right?
Yeah, I agree. And I think the community kind of was looking at that one for a while, weren't they? Even before the first LSS announcement. There was a lot of
looking at the Plunder Run ban.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot of. There was a lot of people talking about Plunder Run before.
I believe you. I didn't hear the murmurs, but you would. Yeah, I trust you.
There was a lot of conversations about Plunder Run before they made the announcement that there wasn't going to be anything banned. Okay. I get it. I honestly think the Plunder one. I honestly think that Briar may be a scapegoat to banning Plunder Run because Plunder Run limits their design space for Runeblade. I mean, it's just such a good card for Runeblade, right? Like,
it's so good. But like poor Katsu just got like,
I get it. Yeah.
Like we just shot this cannonball at Briar and there was like splash damage and Lightning Lexi and Katsu just took shrapnel, man. It's just these poor heroes. I want to hold a sign and be like, Katsu did nothing wrong. You know what I mean? Like he just got smacked. When I heard the Briar got errata, this was the first thing I read. The first thought in my mind is, oh, Katsu's viable again. Because the embodiments of Earth, it was so impossible to like take Briar damage and then come off with a surging strike right away next turn because of all those freaking embodiments. But I was like, oh, and then the player, which I'm not saying Katsu's unplayable. It's just like, man, that feels bad to see that he got hit.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
And then Ball Lightning from Lightning Lexi. I think there's
Lightning Lexi stands have yelled at me all week. I don't even play Ball Lightning. I'm like, oh, okay.
I think there's still room for Lightning Lexi there. But I think Plunder Run is a smart ban for the design space of the game moving forward.
Okay.
I think it allows you to do some things that you couldn't do with Plunder Run in the world.
Okay.
The opposite of that, let me play devil's advocate against myself, is I hate when iconic cards from Flesh and Blood get banned. Like, to me, when I think of iconic Flesh and Blood cards, Plunder Run comes to mind. It's up there with Razor Reflex.
Sink Below.
Sink Below. I think Plunder Run fits in that thing. And as somebody who loves the past of Flesh and Blood, I hate to see those things go. Let me play devil's advocate against the devil's advocate against myself in order for
if I can react to my reaction to the reaction.
In order for the game to grow and in order for new people to be excited, the old guard has to let go of some of that stuff. And I agree with that and I see that. But there is a feeling from people who love the game and who have played for a long time and who have that, like, man, I hate to see this card go, and I would hate to see Sink Below go. I would hate to see Razor Reflex go. And like, I don't want to see I personally also don't want to see those older cards outclassed and pushed for, because I want to play with those cards that I love. Like, that's just my opinion, but there's
something I will miss the feeling of, because Plunder Run, I mean, from a gameplay standpoint, Plunder Run wasn't just like draw and win. It took minimal setup. You had to get it into your arsenal, really, if you really wanted full value. I mean, even if not, you still got value, but like, it felt good to like, oh, I set this up, I did it. And like, again, I'll lean back on Katsu. Plunder Run and Katsu felt like a move. You were like, ooh, this is I feel like I've done something. It's part of like the combo Katsu card draw. In Briar, it did feel a little bit more like, I got this Plunder Run, I don't really have to, because I can generate the embodiment of lightning. It does half that job for me, even if it's not in my arsenal. So like, it's already got value there. It felt like, let's just slap it on the table. There's not a whole lot of setup. I draw it, I slap it. Yeah. So yeah, I get it. I don't know. It shocked. That one got me. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna have to lean in and trust on this one. But I see what you're saying. That would be like, oh, if they banned, I'm trying to imagine if they banned like Sink Below. or
Right.
something like that. That would just stink because it's like, oh, this card was so neat and it was
Yeah.
or Razor Reflex, because
Like
Dorithia was my first deck. They banned
the,
Razor Reflex. I'd be like, no.
those cards define the game,
Yeah,
and maybe Plunder Run less than those ones, but I think Plunder Run's up there. Let me ask you this.
Plunder's cool.
I mentioned this on May the Zoo Be With You, and I'm curious on your opinion.
What's that?
What about banning Plunder Run from Briar and letting it be played in other heroes? What's your stance on that kind of idea of class banning or hero specific bans?
I don't know. That's weird to me. That's got a weird feel. It's I can't tell you it's wrong. It like my gut reaction is it feels good, but then also I don't. It's when deck building for new players and stuff like that. I don't want to pick up a copy of Plunderer and be like, oh, this is going to be so awesome for my Runeblade deck. And then I look at the changed rules document online or whatever. It's like, cannot be played with Runeblades. I don't have to cross-reference every card with the document or like some flow chart to find out who it can be played in and who it can't be played in. So I'm
not saying I don't want a lot of that, but
I don't like that at all.
You're going to have to look at Plunder Run anyway and say, oh, this card can't be in my deck, and I have to cross-reference that to a ban list.
Which, again, that feels more binary to me. That feels more yes or no. It's I don't like erratas, and I don't like erratas because I got my start in the Dragon Ball Z card game, and that it's
I've heard this. I've heard this from multiple people.
I know, and it's always. I think I always go to this every time we talk bans or erratas. I bring up the DBZ card game, the changed rules document where it was like this thick, and we had it. John and I, we would play Dragon Ball Z. We had it printed out at one point. It was just all these pages and the way the cards worked and who they could be played in and who they couldn't. It was huge, and that feels. I liked the game because I'd already been playing it for so long, but I don't want to see flesh and blood go there. I don't want you to have a small pamphlet with you to know what you can and can't play where.
That's fair.
Right.
That's fair.
So I always lean away from that. I always lean away from erratas, and this has always been my stance on this. If we can, I'd rather ban it than errata it, but in the sense of a hero, I think that's a unique case. I don't want to just ban Briar. Like one of the 3 heroes from the set you just can't play. An errata was necessary.
Yeah. I just think Flesh and Blood has a unique opportunity, especially with the different pitches and things like that. I think there's room to work on that if they need to, but I also kind of agree with what you're saying, where it's like that creates a huge list. I guess I wish I hope that they have at least considered that and have at least worked through that. I think that goes back to what you're saying of like just trusting LSS.
Yeah, dude, I'm waving the flag over here. I trust them. Like every time someone's like, "Can you believe us?" I'm like, "Yes, guys, they did this and they made Flesh and Blood." And I know we're gonna get into, well, they spent so long on the first couple sets and then the last couple have been a little troublesome. Like, yeah, they're finding their groove. They're getting their step. But I don't see a cause for concern. I trust them. I think they've made good moves so far. Nothing has been like, and we've talked about this every time news has dropped. I've called you and been like, Louis, hold me to the ground. Everything's going to be okay, right? And you're like, yes, my son, it will be fine. So it's, I don't know. I'm super just go with the flow and pretty positive about things. I think that makes for bad podcast content. Sorry, dude. Sorry, bro.
I mean, like, I think at the end of the day, I trust LSS too. I want to be able to trust them before the set comes out, though. Like, yeah. I want there to be more. I would love to. And I don't want to get this a whole. We could do a whole episode of this, but I want to see more. I want to see more playtest. Like, I want to see more evidence of playtests. Like, I want to know what they're doing for playtests. I want to know that their team looks like. But that doesn't. Sure. Like, LSS doesn't disclose that kind of stuff in the way that some other games do.
Don't say another game. I learned that in the last podcast too. You can't say the name of other games.
But I would like to see, one of the things LSS does, which is interesting. I can't say I don't like it. I kind of actually do like it, is they hold things really close to chest until they're public. So like the new cards, like nobody ever has any clue what's happening until they do spoilers and that stuff, which is fun and exciting. I do think it would be cool to have some public playtesters or some community playtesters that have to sign NDAs, and
that stuff's gonna get out. It's gonna get leaked, and you're gonna lose. I think they do spoiler season so well. Those guys have to be in house because they do spoiler season so well. It's so hype.
The
Every time a
problem,
new set
well,
drops,
this could be a whole episode. The problem with that is it costs money. It's expensive to have playtesters, and the company's not massive, and so but they're trying to do a massive thing. So I would love to see some more transparency on their playtesting process. This gets back to again, at which FaB with Freya said this in her most recent article about having some more transparency in a development blog, and we said it in our episode last week. And like I think a development blog for playtesting could be really cool where they don't have to share details, but they can share their process to give some more confidence to the playtesting experience is all I'm saying.
Yeah. So no, I like it, but we're kind of transitioning. This is a good we're catching our stride, man. A good natural transition into the next set, because this is where I want to tell you I feel like they tipped their hand.
Yeah.
I feel like LSS was like, here's kind of what we're giving you, because I'm looking at Plunder Run and Ball Lightning, and I'm like, sure, you're more on the Plunder Run ban than I am. I'm like, I don't think it was necessary. I think you can still play around it. I don't think you needed it. But remember, LSS is working with all the information. LSS has seen Everfest. They know what's coming. And I think there's something in there that would put these aggro decks over the top. Like I think there's something in Everfest that's easily accessible and really going to push up the power level or ramp up the effectiveness of the aggro deck, or what would be Plunder Run. So I think without trying to tip their hand, especially the Ball Lightning ban, there's something spicy in Everfest coming for Lightning Heroes. 100%. It's coming. Mm-hmm. You don't ban Ball Lightning without that. It's coming. 100%.
Do you think that's going to be a hero?
I can't just give away I have a whole video on what I think is going to be.
Oh yeah. I don't. How about a lightning rune blade?
Oh no. Okay. That's not Thank you.
That seems like the place for that ban. I mean, with what you're saying, like,
well, no, but think, okay, so like, where else is Plunder Run really good? And I've mentioned it like 7 times because I can't get off this because I'm like a train on a single track.
Where else is Lexi?
Yeah, no, that's the other one.
Oh,
it's Katsu.
Yeah. Oh, you said Plunder Run. I'm sorry. I got.
Well, but I think there's some spicy lightning ninja tech.
Oh yeah. That makes sense.
And I talked about this with John the other day, and he pointed out like it would be cool to see Ninja get another like attack reaction. Well, if Ninja gets access to Lightning Press, hold the phone. You know what I'm saying? That would be pretty nutty.
But Ball Lightning was banned from Classic Constructed, right?
Yeah. But so, I'm talking about the Plunder Run. Sorry, the mainly focus on the Plunder Run ban.
I know, but so you think that we're going to see something that's Ninja Lightning in CC then?
If down the road, I don't think we will in Everfest. I think we'll see Blitz Ninja Lightning CC, but I think it will all come full circle. They'll be comfortable. We'll see a Lightning Ninja in CC down the road, and then Ball Lightning will be probably pretty nasty. I still don't get the Ball Lightning ban. I mean, maybe I saw someone, it was like every time someone played it, it was a judge call because of how it interacted with the replacement effect.
I've heard
someone posted that. Do you know who the poster of that was? So I don't steal their idea. It wasn't my idea. I read it on the fan page.
I don't remember.
Okay. They're like, yeah, it was probably for a judge call because at every event they had to go over replacement effects and how they worked with people.
Yeah.
So they're like, it's just
too complicated.
Let's get rid of this crap. But no, what do you think? Do you think they tipped their hand?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's going to be I don't know that that's the reason that Ball Lightning got it in CC. That would make more sense if Ball Lightning got it in just Blitz. Because I unless there's cards, I just don't see where it's going to happen in CC for Ninja. It could be for, I don't know.
Or what about a piece of equipment that gives you a talent?
Somebody said that. It was
did I just steal someone's idea?
Me. That was when I first saw the cape for Bravo. That was my take.
The cape.
Was that the cape on Bravo's artwork?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That the cape for those here, you can basically it would take up an entire slot.
Yeah, and just give you access to lightning cards. Or
yeah.
That's
if that's the case, then what you're saying is 100% their tip.
Well, hold on. If it was your idea, I think it's wrong. So, I don't agree. Let's move on.
I think
that would be sick.
I think you could see majestic cold foil equipment that are in each talent. So you would have a ice. It would be an elemental ice, elemental.
There's 5 talents, right?
Yeah. So elemental ice, elemental frost, elemental uh, lightning. Right. That's the third one.
Mm-hmm.
I just missed. And then shadow and light. So you'd have 5 capes that can be put on any hero essentially,
and it takes up the chest slot.
Gives up the chest slot, so you have to completely or they could be cloaks and it takes up the head slot, but it could be specific to guardian. Maybe they balance it so it's a guardian light one and it takes up the chest slot.
It goes in the chest slot because Tunic's out of print now, and instead of reprinting Tunic, they're just like, Tunic's pointless. Everyone wants to play this now. Forget Tunic, guys.
I mean, I think that could be a tip for Ball Lightning if something like that gave it in CC. The thing is, where I think this doesn't fit is that would blow up everything.
That would. Oh my god, that would make deck building, guys. If they do this, there are so many decks.
Yeah, it's just like completely. But what
if it's a guardian? What if they lock it in? So instead of like a generic lightning cape, it's a ninja lightning cape, and as a ninja you can use that instead of your chest piece, right? And it's a guardian shadow or whatever may be, right?
I think in ninja it would take up the head slot. It would be a cloak, and then you can't run mask of momentum.
And then you can't run mask of momentum.
And in guardian it would be a chest piece, it would be a cape, and you can't run tectonic plating. Ninja, I don't know how.
So you're saying we're gonna take away your most powerful piece of equipment, and oh my god, what if these things are just commons? These things are just commons, and they're just like, hey, the world is your oyster, Fab deck builders, go shuck it.
I'm sensing a fan made content piece here too. Like if they don't do that, where you could have fan made equipment like that.
Dude, I'm digging that. There's a whole formatting idea behind that. I think that's really neat. Now the problem with that is there'd have to be a playtest team, because I'm sure I would be like, let's give Guardian Shadow cards, and there'd be one card that I don't think of that just breaks everything, and everyone's like, Josh, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't design the game, guys. I play it.
and I think that is probably I think that's why it's probably not the best take. I think it's a fun take. I'm extremely biased. We'll get into market chat later, but I can't think of anything that would be better for the Flesh and Blood market than something like that.
They would have to play. By the way, you talked about their playtest team. This just crossed my mind. If they printed that, there would have to be a large amount of playtest. There's so you just,
and that's why
combinations.
There's no way. It's too powerful. But for the market, it would be very, very good.
It would be Tome of Divinity now. And you could throw on a light cape and you could play Tome of Divinity and other decks. Like, oh, so good.
Yeah, it would be broken though. I agree with that. What else do you think was tipped? Do you have anything based on the heroes and the stuff that we've seen?
No, nothing I can say right now out loud. There's a really cool spoiler card coming on a channel that I know of.
There you go. Hometown. When is your spoiler?
I can't tell you.
You can't tell me when it is?
I don't know the date off the top of my head.
Oh, nice.
I don't know the date, man. It's been a whirlwind. So no, nothing there. But I really think that they had to see Oldhim coming, because I think Oldhim is just ridiculous right now. I think he's in a really good spot. So I think there's a lot of aggro tools coming, and that's just my take on that. What are you? You didn't say much of what you think they spoiled. What do you think they spoiled? LSS gave it away. Just tell them they're wrong.
I don't think that I disagree with your take that they spoiled anything with their bans.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't think that they. I honestly, when I saw what was the card? What was the one that reduced
Macho Grande?
No,
the one that released today.
This round's on me. Each hero draws a card until the next of your turn. Target hero have -1. I thought that was going to be the kind of the Briar killer. Yeah, I mean, like I thought that they were focusing in on that, but it turned out they need more. Like that card against Briar is super good, right? Like,
sure.
Like it, and I thought that was the Runeblade killer. So I actually didn't think that we would get a ban restricted before
Oh,
Everfest.
okay. So you thought they'd
Yeah,
be like, "Hey, we're just checking back in. Everything's great.
yeah,
Good job."
yeah.
Okay.
Did they spoil a
All right.
card today? I didn't see it.
Not that I see. I'm looking right now just to try
Yeah. I
to
pulled
see
up
him.
Macho Grande too. I mean, I don't think that one really tips anything.
No, I think that's just it's thematically a freaking cool card. It's just
Yeah,
funny. It
yeah.
makes me giggle. Uh, I was gonna say I heard what you guys said about Macho Grande on that other podcast that I'm never allowed to be on
Oh my
because
gosh.
they spent so much time complaining about me, guys. I'm
Y-
not that bad of a guy. I'm like a normal,
All that podcast is people complaining. So,
I'm a normal. Oh, all this podcast is complaining. Didn't you read the comments from our first
according to our
episode?
comment section,
Anyway. So yeah, I think Macho Grande is cool. I
yeah.
like. I want like a poster of that card up in my office just to like.
Somebody needs to Photoshop your face in there.
I want it to inspire me so I don't look like this anymore.
You've got to be
Every
the
morning I
content
wake
creator
up.
that most looks like Macho Grande.
No.
Who's the content creator that looks more like Macho Grande?
That's okay, chat. Everyone in the comments, what content creator looks most like Macho Grande?
Yeah.
That's the comment I want in
It's
this
got to be
podcast
you.
episode.
It's got to be you. I can't
Me.
think of anybody else that would.
It's because I'm 6'8". That's the
Yeah,
only reason.
exactly.
That's it's just Grande. It's just Grande.
Not
Grande.
much.
Grande.
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 That's funny.
So
Yeah,
it would be John if John wasn't,
yeah.
like 5'10" or something.
I don't think that one really spoiled much.
No.
All right. Well, you want to talk about Icelander?
No, you talk about Icelander because I'm actually not that high on Icelander.
I just think it's gonna lock stuff down. I think
it's going to be super fun to play.
yeah, I think it's just gonna lock. I don't think it's super good though.
Oh.
I don't think that it's. I
What
don't
is,
think it's gonna be that good. You know what? Like the crew heroes didn't do super well in Blitz.
but aren't they sweet to play though? They're
Yeah,
so
they're
much
so
fun.
fun to play. They're just not that good.
Kaio's one of them, right? Kaio,
Yeah.
the double roll a dice and double your
Yeah.
attack. That's so much fun. Like
Yeah.
it's such a cool interaction.
I think that those will be a lot of fun to play. I don't think they're going to be super strong. Where I think they can excel. And God, please LSS, just give us PVE. Like, come on. Like where I think that these cards can excel is like a situation like PVE.
Don't you think they're giving us PvE with some of the stuff we've seen, like this round's on me and stuff? Like it seems.
I mean, they keep hinting at it. I don't know.
How fangirl like ooh are you gonna go if Everfest comes with a PvE announcement?
Ecstatic. I mean,
How mad are you gonna be if I make a video before you though?
you won't. I can assure you. I already have the video ready to be posted. It's just just completely like there's just champagne bottles everywhere. I just had a good time and
don't say that. Don't say that. That was what I was gonna do for Hometown TCG's 1-year anniversary. It's just gonna be me shaking champagne and a bunch of various like on a hill, outside on my car, in my shower. Like that was
like even Valda though, like Valda doesn't seem like a super strong hero to me.
Starting at 21 was interesting.
Sorry, wait. She definitely looks strong. I don't want people to misconstrue my words. She definitely looks like she's stronger than me. And if I was in a fight with Valda, I don't know that I would be able to take the first punch, honestly.
Why don't you just why would you would just quit, right?
Yeah,
if I was in a fight with Valda, I'd be like, oh, no, thank you. Thank you for your time. Like,
but as a hero in the game of Flesh and Blood, she doesn't seem that strong.
Yeah. No, but she doesn't seem that strong. She seems fun. She seems neat. It's a cool. I think Everfest is going to give us a lot of different ways to look at the cards we're playing, and I can guarantee that we're going to look at cards after Everfest release in new ways. We're going to interact with cards that we've never interacted with in a way that we've never interacted with them. I can guarantee that.
Yep. My favorite card so far from the spoilers is Life of the Party. Life of the Party and Coax a Commotion in every Louis DeGeorge deck.
I went through random crew stuff and I found 2 Coax a Commotions in there. I was like, oh, I'm glad I have these because now the Papa Louis has run up the price on these things.
So good. They're so good. And like this is stuff that does scream PvE to me. I could see them not doing PvE yet though.
Like they're setting a base.
This goes back to time and playtesting and amount of amount of staffing and stuff like that. Like I just don't know that if I was a betting man, I would say that they're not ready yet, and that's
Okay,
why we don't see it. I'm
but
sure that they're working
peep
on it,
this. Peep this, Joe. Peep
peeping it.
this. Peep this. What if the reason that Tails launch was kind of like, oh, now we have to ban some things. Oh, we got to do the chain bans, is because during that time they were developing PvE, and they're just releasing these PvE mechanics under cards in sets that come out. So they spent all that time developing and their resources developing this PvE format.
That'd be great.
What if?
I'd be like, hey, the bans were worth it. Bans might as well forget the other formats. Ban some more cards, LSS.
So you just really want PvE.
That's
all right.
All I care about. What is the release schedule? If we go to the where is it? They have that the Q2 question mark things. They have the standalone set coming Q2 2022, and then they have the question mark that says Q2 2022. If they were going to release PvE, that seems like the time that they would do it. So it wouldn't be with Everfest, it would be with the booster set.
Okay.
Now what I don't know is, I mean, what that Q2 thing could just be a blitz deck set for the new set. It could just be
it's a new set.
You think it's a whole new thing? It could be a lore book.
Kill me. It's a new set. Don't kill me. Don't crush me.
You think it's a whole new set? So you think they're going to put out 2 sets in Q2 next year of this year?
Maybe not. Oh no, because Everfest comes out in February. It's Q1.
That's Q1, and then Q2 it says standalone booster set, and then above that it's question mark
Got
Q2
you.
2022 for upcoming. So if they're going to do PvE, my guess is it's there and not in Everfest.
Okay.
Also, I will say that the better place for PvE seems to be in the pits and not Everfest. Like I think the pits would be a beautiful spot for PvE.
Kind of got that dungeon crawling vibe, right? The World of Warcraft raid boss feel. Okay.
And we are almost certainly going to the pits for the next set,
according to Kitchen Table TCG. Okay.
I will die on this hill.
We're going back to Monarch to make all of the sealed Monarch that I own worth something.
That's what
I am LSS's favorite content creator. They know that I have a stake. They know that I have, I've got skin in the game. So they're going to take us back to Monarch real quick for Hometown TCG, just to hook me up. And then we're going to move on.
How many boxes of Monarch sealed do you own?
I can't talk about the market or like having sealed product because my viewers are like, investors are evil. I'm like, well, I do both. I do both.
Anyway, yes. Monarch would be great if they could make those Monarch cards worth money, but more importantly is a fun set. And I think that the pits, you're gonna see it just makes sense. I mean, look at the heroes that we don't have yet. We have you got the guy from the Arc card that has the mask on. I can't think of the name of the card. He's got I
think I know what you're talking about. Oh, ow,
yeah.
ow.
But like you've got a lot of cards that look like they're in the pits, and then I think in terms of classes that we haven't seen with talents, there's a lot like mechanologist kind of fits in the metrics lore, and so I think that goes in the pits, and then ninja like that kind of
a little bit out of the shadows and stuff like that.
Well, like ninjas in terms of like thieves, right? Like you're in a city, you've got like the thieves, and you can go down to the whatever.
Cool. So is that
whatever classes have we not? Wizard.
Is that going to be new? Is that going to be new talents then, or do you think they're going to give us?
No,
they're going to give us Shadow Ninja.
No, we know that every set has new talents. That every location has new talents. That's in the talent article. So it could be that, or it could be Volcor, or it could be the wilderness one. What's the wilderness one?
I'm so bad at lore.
It's been a while since I read the lore stuff, but
you're just shaming me right now. I'm just like drooling on myself and going,
Volcor could be it because of wizard, because we haven't seen like a true wizard, and then you could have fire and that kind of stuff. But I think pits makes the most sense.
Okay, so we go to the pits, and if we go to the pits and it has PvE announced at the same time,
Yes.
You asked me how many boxes of Monarch I have. How many boxes of Flesh and Blood in the Pit are you gonna own?
Oh, I have the same strategy for every set.
Second mortgage on the house every time, or
No, well, now that I'm a store, I've had to do it differently because I sell all my boxes and then I wait for the bottom.
okay,
And then I just kind of slowly accumulate. Actually, for Everfest, not Everfest, for what's it called? Tales of Aria, I only have 12 boxes of first
okay,
edition. But
really?
for Monarch, I wasn't a store, and I went hard. Well, I still had a job, so all the content money was going into Monarch pre-orders.
Oh, so you lost all your content money? Good to know.
Yeah, that's why the channel is so terrible.
No, so I had a job and no channel income. So all of the Josh money went into Monarch pre-orders, and my wife still reminds me, what are all these brown boxes
Brown
doing
boxes.
sitting right? Yeah, the cases just sitting here doing. I'm like, making me sad.
I also sold a considerably large amount of reserve list Magic the Gathering cards for Monarch at $500 a box, and Monarch Majestic cold foils at $500 a card on release day, like the idiot that I am.
Oh, that hurts my chest.
All right, this is a good transition into market chat, right? Are we done talking about Everfest speculation now that we've speculated on
neither
the
of us? Yes, neither of us is qualified to talk about the market after these stories, though. No, I'm sorry. You are qualified to talk about the market. Everyone should go listen to his market videos all the time.
Shut up.
No.
All right, market chat.
Sure.
I think people learned their lesson. This is my hot take.
Yeah.
People learned their lesson. Now we are in true TCG environment. You should be doing appropriate investing without expecting things to go to the moon. Everfest is going to be at MSRP or below for a considerable amount of time, even for first edition. I would say watch what happens with Tales of Aria and then add that to Everfest. I think Tales of Aria, if I were a betting man, Tales of Aria will be under $100 for the rest of this year.
This is such a okay. Here's a couple problems. With your logic. First of all, it's boring. It's boring as all get up. This is when you buy a box of Magic the Gathering draft box and it goes up 5 to 8% a year, or whatever, and you're like, but you're correct. So this section of the podcast sucks.
No, it doesn't.
You're totally right. The free tendies are just that's done, right? That day and age is done.
Maybe. The biggest question for the Flesh and Blood market, in my opinion, is what does LSS want to happen?
Print run.
Does LSS want their first edition box to be worth $350 after 2-3 months after release? If that is something that they want, they can do that by printing less boxes. The demand is there. They can do that by printing less boxes. It would appear to me from Rudy's opinions and Rudy's conversation that is something that Rudy wants to happen and is encouraging them to do. The question is, are they going to listen to Rudy, or the opposite side of that token is to reward the players that are current to the set and say, if you were playing Monarch, let's use Tales, because Monarch's a terrible example.
Because it makes us all sad.
If you were playing Tales of Aria and then 2 years later your cards are worth way more money, your cold foils are worth way more money, your boxes are worth 3 times the money. Sure. That's another way to do it. You can reward the players, or you can reward the collectors and investors short term. My gut says that we are now in this world where it's like, okay, we're going to be focused on the longer term, slower growth of the game.
I think rewarding the players for this long term does also reward the investors, because there's still an opportunity for these investors then to take every game that comes. I don't know, it's super taboo to mention another game, but we could both come from the Magic world. Myself maybe a little more so than you, and it's we buy these. No, ouch. Definitely.
I've been playing Magic the Gathering for 10 years.
That's it. Oh, wow. Sweet summer child. Oh my goodness.
Playing Magic Gathering
a long time, Louis.
Oh, okay.
Almost
I feel like I still came from the Magic the Gathering world, is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but you play things super casually, and you're big. You hug everyone, and it's very adorable, and you want everyone to be kind to each other. And I cast spells to destroy my opponents. No. Yes, you did. I was wrong. You came from the Magic the Gathering universe. Do you feel better?
That out of everything everyone has said about me, that was the thing that was the most hurtful. I'm
that you are nice to everybody. Fine, you're a jerk.
I just derailed you. Sorry.
You just completely derailed me. But it was. I think if you reward the players, you also reward the investors because they have an opportunity to, like, when all these sets come out, it happens in every card game. There's a run on things, and then prices tank on everything. Why? Because now everyone has everything. Now everyone who wants stuff immediately has it, and there's this extra product, and people are like, it's either that or, I don't want to buy it at this price because I know it's coming down, so it causes the tank to happen faster. Investors can make their moves, pick up this product, pick up, they always say cold foils are the investable aspect of singles, right? And the Fable and stuff like that, and the whatever the special extended arts that they do, they have an opportunity to pick that up. So you can pick it up, but you just can't. You can't be an investor. You can't be a flipper. I don't think you can be an investor, but I don't think you can be a flipper, right?
Yep, I agree. And that affects box openers. I mean, I think box openers are in a weird position where it's like, I think it'd be hard to sell a Everfest or a Tales of Aria box opening or Monarch box because most of the community has all the cards already, and there's not a huge win to your risk. Like,
aren't you a box opener?
Yeah, well, I haven't been. I mean, I at some point it turned where I was doing unlimited box openings, and then all of a sudden none of the slots were filling other than the Fable slot. I mean, it turned into this thing where everyone already had the cards. Monarch, I have box openings open for Monarch right now, and nobody wants it because people have the cards, and so that will shift in 2 years. That will shift.
100%.
When we have grown a community that has, but the exponential growth of Flesh and Blood at the beginning of 2021 was insane. You're not going to see that exponential growth in 2022, and that's
no.
And that's a lot of the reason that we had the strong market thing. So I don't know. Like, I think, the hottest take would be, is this the last unlimited set that we get with Everfest?
I did a whole, I gave my thoughts on this, like this whole, and it came from the Rudy notice to like his supporters and patrons and stuff like that. It was the whole LSS is not happy with the current model, and their main sources of unhappiness were revolving around the distribution model, where the distributor was like, oh, we have 1,000 boxes of Monarch, and then 6 months later, like, oh, we found 2,000 more. Oops.
Right.
Like they were unhappy with that
in stores.
Yeah, and they were also unhappy with the just unlimited as a whole, how it was being received, how people were kind of treating the product, opening the product, how it was kind of thrown by the wayside. So we're unhappy about that. And my thought is unlimited, really, you talked about this 2-year mark, right? Where players come into the game, and Flesh and Blood is unique in the fact that all of the cards are constantly playable as of right now. Will that change in the future? Sure. But unlimited really shines in that like 2-year, 1 to 2 year window where you're still onboarding new players and they need cards from Monarch, or they haven't experienced Monarch, or Bolton is just like, oh my God, I love Bolton. I want to open a box of Monarch. I have unlimited out here. It's accessible. I can go get it. That's what really shines. But if they OOP things before that window, it's like, I don't feel like unlimited gets it's kind of the long con, and it never gets its time in the sun. It doesn't get those new players to be like right now, how many of our players that are new in the community are like, oh, I have to hit every Welcome to Wraith event that I can because I didn't get a chance to experience it much. And once this is over, I can't anymore.
Yeah. I agree with you, and I agree with your timeline on that. It's weird to out of print, but like WTR, we needed the cards before.
Right. But they have to. There's only so much printer space.
We will need those cards again unless they reprint them elsewhere.
They will.
I think the issue with unlimited from a perspective of somebody who now has seen the behind the veil of owning a store.
I'm a store owner. You're not. I get it, dude.
Well, something I learned this past week is even worse than I thought, where the biggest stores in our community, in the Flesh and Blood community, the vast majority of those stores are owned by people who have bigger companies behind them, who have like their LGS is not their source of income and not their source of life and livelihood. Not like me, where like I need I need it.
When you get a pallet of product, you're like, I really need to sell this pallet of product now.
But it's fun money for a lot of these for a lot of the store owners. It is a fun business to them. It is not what their livelihood is.
So
because of the unlimited model with distribution and pre-ordering, your numbers of first edition are based on your overall sales of unlimited. So these stores that don't need to make money are buying up instantly all the boxes of, not all the boxes, but a large percentage of the boxes of unlimited. I haven't been able to get Arcane Rising for 4 months from one of the distribution.
Sure.
I've only been able to get 12 boxes from the other distributor in 4 months. Okay.
That would be like,
yeah,
I'm not you. And that would be like what I would want over that period of time. Right. Just me personally. And I don't run a store.
And meanwhile, some of these larger stores are getting hundreds of boxes at a time. And then they're just either flipping them at low prices that, whatever, and they're able to get some. I think that the biggest issue is the way that they're doing. I don't know that there's a solution, because in order to get first edition, you should have to get unlimited, but maybe it should be tied to your gem account or something like that. By the
way, I want to point out, this isn't complaining. This is just you pointing out the existing situation.
It's honestly, I'm wonder if LSS is even aware that these store owners, these large store owners in USA, have those other companies that are back, and that it's different. Like I think that is such a nuance to it that like
it's a weird situation for sure. And if you're not here experiencing it, how would you know that?
They would
without peeking behind the curtain, right? How would you ever know that?
Yeah, but they have these bigger companies behind them, so their income, their personal income is revolved around these bigger companies. This is their play money, so their goal is to get as many boxes of first edition that they can sell, and then a lot of them keep product back and hold it as investment and whatever, and break even and have this free product sitting over here of first edition, and they don't need to make a profit. But what that doesn't work for, and this is my point, that doesn't work for 90% of the LGSs that you play the game at. That 100%. Doesn't work for the places that are owned by your mom and pop LGSs, that they're making 30 grand a year in like their personal finances, and they just love running card games, and they just they don't have the business expenses, or they don't have the business background, and that doesn't work for those people, because their players can't get first edition, and then and they're always also competing with the prices online, so like they can't even sell their unlimited because their cost is more money. And the other stores have lowered the value of unlimited so much. So I honestly don't think it's a terrible take. I'm not saying it's my take. I don't think it's a terrible take that we may not see first edition in unlimited moving forward.
I think we will. And so I always harken back to, I wish if I knew we were going to talk market when I sat down, I would have brought it with me, because anytime I talk the market, I keep like a couple boxes of Monarch and the Rudy promo right here to show that I'm qualified to talk of how to spend your money. I am clearly the end all be all of exactly how to spend your money. Like the Rudy promo, the card that comes inside, it's that saying. I always harken back to that. It's to bring the community together under the umbrella of playing and investing in great games, right? It literally says it like, hey, you have the opportunity to put this in one of your premium packages that's going out to like the exclusive members that were there at the start of your community. You openly said, we want to do this for the person who supported us right at the beginning, right? We want to be there. This is the person who's there. And so you have a message, and that's the message you give. It's hard for me to believe that we're going to see it's just one product, right? Just a draft box or something. I don't think that. And now, will they do unlimited printing and then a collector's box like Magic? Will the things change? Will what we're doing change? Sure. But they can't just get rid of it. It's in their motto. I mean, right? They admittedly say this is one of our pillars of belief.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't think that mass-produced box will have cold foils in it. I think they will have something else with cold foils in it.
Yeah, sure.
But I don't think it will look like the same unlimited first edition box thing.
Secret layer.
Honestly, one of the best takes, I think that, so I don't remember who had it, but was pre-release kits, just having cold foils in pre-release kits. And
Now that would be a tectonic shift for sure.
Yeah, and having some, something where like that's where you get your, by going to the pre-release events and playing the game, and it's hard to get that many. I mean, that makes those very, 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 very,
Oh,
very
it's a
valuable.
very exclusive item now. All of a sudden,
But maybe there's one cold foil in every pre-release kit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you have something like that. So I think there's ways to do it.
Sure,
It'll be interesting.
Yeah,
I'm not
there's
saying
really
that I
ways.
believe that they're going to get rid of unlimited. It would
don't
be
think
a
they
huge
will.
shift, but I think there's a conversation happening for sure about what they need to do about it.
Yeah, I think before they do anything, they play with the system at least a little bit.
Yeah. So
I don't know. What do you think? The good market's at an all-time low, right? Good time to buy.
It's not an all-time low.
All-time low.
It's not. It is at where it was before the gigantic 2-3 weeks spike window.
All-time low.
It's not. It's at I think the market's in a healthy place. I think that there are some deals to be had. I think everyone's overreacting to the last 8 months. It's been an 8-month decline coming off of a 3 to 6 week gigantic 500% increase.
Right.
And like, I think that if you take out that 3 to 6 weeks, we're at this
God.
like,
can I just say it here then? Can I just say, we've talked about this off podcast. Can I just put myself on record then? This is dangerous. I'm going to get killed for this. Guys, don't kill me for this. I'm going to say it. Some of the stuff's too expensive. It's too expensive. It's not old enough yet. There hasn't been enough time passing. It hasn't changed a bunch of hands. It's not this super rare thing yet. It will be. It 100% will be. You can get, if you get in now, sure, you've got an advantage. Some of this stuff is too expensive. It shouldn't be this price.
I think there's a lot of nuances to that statement.
I think so too, but
what shouldn't be that
hard to find else too expensive.
Oh,
It's
at what? The last one was a 9.5 that sold for 17 grand.
Yeah, it's too expensive. I think it's all too much. The game hasn't been around long enough. Don't give me in the comments that the game's gonna die. No, I don't think this game's gonna die. I have very little free time and I devote it all to making content for this game. I clearly believe in it, but it's just everyone's like, oh well, what would an alpha box of Magic be? Those are two. There's not even close to a comparison. That's not fair at all. There's 30 years, and when Magic came out, nobody, not a single person bought alpha boxes thinking I'm going to store this on my shelf for 20 years.
Yeah,
people have bought Flesh and Blood boxes with that notion. As soon as you buy them with that notion, that just means they're going to be out there. It's just too expensive too soon. It'll get there. It's just too soon.
I will say I talked to somebody last week that has 40 boxes of alpha in their closet, and who is not a whale, who is just simply somebody who they're obviously well off, but just simply somebody who watches Rudy videos, kind of just does the whole Rudy closet thing where they're like, anytime Rudy talks about a game, I buy some boxes and put it in my closet. And they bought all the Rudy kits. They bought all the second Rudy kits. They bought the third opportunity to buy Rudy kits, and they have 40 boxes of WTR sitting in a closet. I think their cost basis they said on it was $200 each.
That's a great spot to be in. 100%.
The amount of those people who end up selling will dictate what the value of that box is worth.
Sure.
Those 100%. People, there's a lot of people like that. And that's why I think we saw this peak at $9,000. And then as soon as that peak kind of flatlined, everyone was like, okay, this is where it's going. It's not going to 15. So I'm going to go ahead and sell. And then, okay,
because my cost basis is $200 and
it's at $7,000. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and sell. Okay. Now it's at $5,000. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and sell. And meanwhile, the current people who are buying those are box openers. Like the people who are currently buying $8,000, $5,000 to $8,000. This is the same thing that's happening in other TCGs for high-end TCGs, for high-end expensive boxes. It is box openers that are buying them to sell at the current price, and that's an okay thing. That's what happens in that's what happens in 2022 with the internet. Is that at some point the box gets too expensive for somebody to buy to do this and put it on their shelf, because they don't think that it's going to go up too much more than that. In order to buy a thing for an investment, you have to anticipate you're going to triple your money or double your money eventually.
It's either that or you believe you're going to stockpile funds away and dodge things like inflation and stuff like that. And just
But when a box of Pokemon base set unlimited
what a
is
wild ride, by the way, the Logan Paul thing. Sorry.
Yes.
You can finish your point, but I've got a little bit of Pokemon. I've talked about Pokemon a little bit. I'm learning more about it, but anyway, sorry, go make your point. I can't hear the word Pokemon without like wincing a little bit. Like,
when a box of base set Pokemon is like $10,000 to $13,000 for the for the, that makes it a little bit hard to justify much more than that for a game that's and I think that's fair. And I think that's a fair state, and I think that's why you start seeing these. 10 grand is a very hard price point to get over. 1 grand,
Sure.
5 grand, and 10 grand is a very, very hard price point to get over. And I think that's where some of this stuff lands. Like, I still think Crucible is undervalued based on what the value of the cards in the box. But
is it still profitable to crack crude?
No, it's not not profitable. It hasn't been profitable since like the $600 boxes.
Sure.
But the ratio of cards to the box compared to ARC and WTR is still there's still a lot of room for crew to grow where there's not as much room for ARC and WTR. Is what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm just sitting here in fear of what's going to happen to me in the comment section, but I truly think it's too much too soon. I'm not in fear. Actually, hold on. That's perfect, because let's end the video. Let's end the podcast, but before we do you want to introduce the final segment of this podcast, my favorite segment of this podcast?
The closing crazy comment collection, where we pick one comment from the comment section and get to respond to it in a healthy way. I think we'll probably mostly pick negative comments. If you want to leave positive comments, you're allowed. I don't think, do people know this, that you're allowed to leave positive comments in comment section?
You're being hyperbolic. We got tons of positive comments on the last video. Tons.
Did we actually?
Yes. 100%.
I think the issue is that I usually reply to the positive ones, and then on the app you only see the ones you haven't replied to. So I think that's why I always think I get more negative comments than positive ones.
My top unreplied comment is still from a gameplay video. I try to, I'm a little smaller than you in the YouTube world. I'm just I'm not King Louis up on his high hill and my favorite meme riding his horse. Yeah, no, dude, I'm gonna do this every time. I try to respond to every comment except there's one it's a gameplay video, and it's just, this match screams of misplay, and I'm like, ouch. Dude, gameplay videos, that's all it is. Every comment is 830 the Katsu player should have 822 missed trigger. But anyway, we got comments to respond to, and I think you wanted to go first.
I don't get those comments because people expect my gameplay to be bad.
Dude, it's horrible. And then it's all day on your phone when you're at work. It's like, I know I made a mistake. I want to, like, in the intro be like, hey guys, mistakes were made. And then even if you do that, and card shuffling, if you shuffle your cards at all, the whole internet's like, you're a horrible person and we hate you. All right,
here's my comment from Mr. M. I think the timing of this podcast was poor. We all know the problems right now with FaB. We don't need another podcast highlighting that. I would have released a teaser for the podcast now in a few weeks when the hype is there, capture that interest. I think our timing was not planned at all. And this is something
we get way more credit than we deserve there.
This is a common occurrence, is people assume a lot out of Flesh and Blood content creators who are getting a maximum of 2,000 views per video. This is not a high end content section sphere yet. Someday we'll get there.
Speak for yourself.
Someday we'll get there.
Beautiful white wall.
Someday we will get there. But as of right now, a lot of us, myself included, are still figuring out what the heck we're doing. And I don't know about you, Josh. I don't have a schedule. I wake up in the morning and say, what video am I going to make today? Other than the market updates, I say, what video should I make today? And I make a video.
Your PvE release video that you already made months ago. And it's just you popping champagne.
Yeah, me naked celebrating.
The naked was not. That explains the weight loss. You just want to look good for your video. No,
before the weight loss.
No. Okay. Great.
Anyway,
Now Louis is naked on the podcast.
my
Awesome.
reaction to that is I don't think we ever planned this in terms of that. I think Josh and I were talking about some of the stuff that we talked about last week, and we just said, hey, we're having conversations, we might as well make these conversations content, because that's what content creators do. Everything
I
in their
think they're
life is
valuable
content.
conversations too. I think it brings a lot of things, and then it also helps my perspective too. It's when the community is like, we agree with you, we don't agree with you. It gives me a new way to look at things. It's cool.
And we don't need another podcast highlighting the problems. I don't know that we highlighted negativity last week. I disagree with that sentiment, and you'll get into the other comment, but I disagree that we were negative last week. I think people often misconstrue personality types. I think you and I both have a similar personality type where I lean into conflict. I like to be a problem solver.
Yes.
When I see a problem, I like it. I like
Yeah.
problems because it gives me something to do. And my content has always been about problem solving. Negative content sounds like this game sucks, nobody plays this game.
Well, it's very blatant negative content. If you were like, hey, this decision is going to lead to the downfall of Flesh. This is the first step to, if they keep doing this, the game is going to die. Stuff like that. That's negative content because all you're talking about is this doom and gloom scenario with no like, hey, this is an issue. This is what I'd like to see. However, even with this issue still here, like
positive content can be as bad as negative content. To just pretend that everything is perfect that we don't see, that is called boring content, and there's no point for that.
Well, positive content in that sense would have been no Briar bans. Right. I don't want to hear that stuff in my ears. I don't want to hear that something was wrong. Perfect. Right.
I think a healthy point is to take a look at some of these things and say, here's an issue and here's some solutions, but it's not my decision. And I think that they should do this, but I'm a content creator and they are the game designers.
Right.
It's up to them to make a good product. It's up to me to make content about that product. And I would say that the majority, there are some videos that I feel like I was overly negative on my channel. And that's what happens when you have a life and a wife and a flooding basement and 2 screaming kids in the background sometimes, and you just don't want to deal with things. But at the end of the day, I feel like my content has been helpful for the game. And I think that talking about the problems and having dialogue actually leads to better views, more people conversing, and a better relationship with the game. So let it
all out, dude.
That's it
for you. Lean back. Hold on. Let me get a notepad.
No,
how does that make you feel? To react to what you said. No, you're 100% right. And I didn't realize, just from talking to you for a while, at this point, we're friends, right? We're friends. I need friends. Yeah. Can we be friends?
We're friends.
Okay. Oh, thank God. I told
my wife
I had a new friend, so I was going to be really embarrassing if you're like, no, we can't. But I've just found this out recently from doing content with you. Everyone thinks you're a really negative guy. And I appear on one podcast with you, and right away I was pegged as like, oh, look at this guy talking about doom and gloom, because I mentioned the content drought. And I got a comment from Flesh and Blood Unseals. Content drought? ? LOL. The podcast is going to need a negative Nancy minute. Let the hate flow through you. You'll feel better. Get it all out, fella. And I was like, whoa. I had to rewatch the podcast because I was like, ooh, was I super negative? But I think that I just appeared in your video and now I'm negative.
Yeah.
If you've watched any of my content, I'm overwhelmingly positive. I started the whole ban thing by being like, all right, LSS, in LSS we trust. I'm down, whatever. Like, yeah. So I got that. And I think what happens there is anytime you point out, hey, this happened, right? And that's why the title of my ban video, the thumbnail was like, this band killed the game and that was scratched out, saved the game that was scratched out, and it just said happened and was circled. Like it happened. It was a thing. And if the thing is ill perceived by somebody and you're talking about that thing, you're like, oh, why are you talking about this negative thing? Like, no, man, not at all. So I would say, hey, I'd love to chat about what I can do better to come off more positive and less negative. But I think that if we talk about anything that's just not a super positive topic, we're just going to get that. So I think I have to accept that and move on.
Yeah, you and I really both just need to accept that some people are just going to always look at things as you're killing the game and you're negative all the time, and people can't actually take the time to evaluate if there's other opinions other than theirs.
Wait, killing the game. I heard that I was negative. How am I killing the game? That's a new one for me.
That's what people say when you approach negativity, when you approach things that are not always positive and perfect. They say that that's killing the game, and like, okay. I don't think that thing is true. I don't think that those things go hand in hand. The reason that you and I both have a channel talking about any game, any card game, is because we love the card game and we want to see it succeed.
Yeah, and guys, spoiler alert, if I didn't like this, I wouldn't do it. It's a lot of work and not a ton of reward. Not great.
It's pretty easy to go get a real job, and
being a software engineer is way better.
Yes.
My wife is like, you're making another one of those silly videos. I'm like, yes, dear, I am. And then she pats me on my head and gives me my chocolate milk, and I make my video.
There's a pedestal that people hold content creators to that is not always true, especially in a community as small as ours.
Sure.
Where like this is not as big of a deal in terms of like, we are here because we love the game, not because we are making buku money.
Everyone is not you.
Anyway, we love the game.
Last reaction to that is it is devil's advocate is it is always on us to always constantly look to improve, right? So we can always still look to and do that. So we can look to things like this. That's why we did this comment section. We can always look to stuff like that. And then finally, I wanted to highlight the very last comment of the crazy comment from Andrew Ostman. He said, as an engineer, I agree about coffee. Sad I am not able to drink 9 cups a day anymore. Andrew, you can always drink 9 cups of coffee today. No. My coffee was frozen before this started. I read your comment. I am jonesing for a coffee. So thank you for the comment. And coffee brethren, go get yourself a cup.
What is up with the Flesh and Blood community and their obsession with coffee?
We're adults, Louis. We're adults. Okay?
Yeah, I'm a child.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's fair.
But you're a really, really awesome kid. So
hopefully our crazy comments, closing crazy comment collection next week will be more fun than negative, and we can look at fun comments and
more comments about coffee
and talk about how much you look like the guy from that card.
Let me know in the comment section if I should wear like a sleeveless tank top to the next reaction phase. I am down. This has been awesome. Thank you so much. Episode 2, it's coming out on HometownTCG, Spotify, Apple Podcast, also iTunes if you're ancient. Anything else? Anything you want to say in the close?
No, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate your content. Keep up the good work, and looking forward to your spoiler, buddy.
I appreciate you. I appreciate your content, and I'm looking forward to how good you look every time you get in front of the camera, my friend.
Thanks, buddy. Everyone, have a great day. Remember, be kind to the people around you. We'll see you next week on my channel.
We'll see you next week on Kitchen Table TCG. And until next time, my name is Josh, and we'll see you around.